A viewer yesterday asked a question in comments section. Pretty simple question. Why did the US impose sanctions on Ethiopia? Someone said it's due to war crimes committed in Tigray. Is this question a simple question with a very simple answer? Well, in my view, if we say that US sanctions on Ethiopia have been imposed due to war crimes in Tigray only, it means we would be ignoring the larger picture. So this question merits detailed explanation. That is why I thought of having a detailed look at this question. Why did the US impose sanctions on Ethiopia? Firstly. Second questions would be, could these sanctions work or not? Two questions I'll have a look at. Firstly was, why did the US impose sanctions on Ethiopia? Is it due to human rights abuses, killing of civilians in Tigray? Well, human rights abuses are being carried out in several parts of the world, but we haven't seen US sanctions there. Just a few days ago, Israel was carrying out airstrikes on Gaza. Human rights agencies were calling for calm, they were calling for some sort of action. More than 200 Palestinians have been killed. Infrastructure in Gaza, civil infrastructure has been damaged, viewers. Among the killed, dozens are children, viewers. Have you heard of any sanctions on Israel? A few months ago, Kashmir was under a communication blackout. Al Jazeera, Reuters, several other sources reported that Kashmir, disputed between Pakistan and India, was under a complete information blackout. No one in the US government talked of sanctions against India because India is a key ally of the US against China. Same is the case with Israel. Israel is a key ally of the US. So why is that the US has imposed sanctions on Ethiopia about war crimes committed in Tigray? So it cannot be the sole reason. Human rights abuses cannot be the sole reason for sanctions imposed on Ethiopia. It's part of a larger picture. Larger picture shows us, viewers, that China is trying to spread its influence in the Horn of Africa. US wants to stop growing Chinese influence in Ethiopia in the Horn of Africa. Bilateral trade between China and Ethiopia has surpassed 5 billion US dollars. And FDI, foreign direct investment by China in Ethiopia, is around 4 billion US dollars. China vetoed a US resolution at the UN Security Council calling for sanctions on Ethiopia. And China reportedly has supplied Ethiopia with some long-range missile systems as well. If you remember, I did a video on a 3-layered security deployed by Ethiopia at its dam site. In that video, I told you that some experts believe that at the dam site there are Chinese HQ-9 long-range missile systems which have been provided to Ethiopia by China. So China-Ethiopia ties are strengthening, viewers. China is gradually spreading its influence in Ethiopia in the Horn of Africa. And US wants to stop China. That is why Jeffrey Feltman has been appointed as an envoy to the Horn of Africa. There is no envoy to the Middle East, viewers, no US envoy. Middle East is much more volatile. Middle Eastern oil is the basis of world economy, viewers. But there is no special envoy to the Middle East. US has appointed an envoy to the Horn of Africa because growing Chinese influence is a concern for the US. So these sanctions want to stop Ethiopia from slipping into Chinese camp. Under Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Ethiopia is slipping into Chinese camp, viewers, just like Eritrea is. Abiy's friend Isaias has close ties with China, viewers, because US has imposed sanctions on Eritrea. That is why Eritrea has close ties with China. It seems that Ethiopia is following Eritrea in joining Chinese camp. And US wants to stop Ethiopia from joining Chinese camp. So it's one of the reasons. War crimes committed in Tigray are just a small part of this larger picture, viewers. Another aspect of these sanctions is US-Egypt relations as well, viewers. Egypt has been threatening Ethiopia. It has been warning Ethiopia against starting the second filling of GERD. US has also issued statements warning Ethiopia against starting the second filling of GERD. But Ethiopia is all set to start the second filling in perhaps July, I think. Egypt-US ties are improving. Joe Biden has been on phone with Al-Sisi more than twice over the past few weeks, viewers. So Egypt wants US support as well in putting pressure upon Ethiopia to stop Ethiopia from starting the second filling of GERD. So these sanctions have geostrategic aspects which we should not ignore. We should not just focus only on war crimes committed in Tigray. Yes, these war crimes are one of the reasons why the sanctions have been imposed, but not the sole reason. Next question would be, can these sanctions work? Well, Ethiopia issued a very strong statement against these sanctions, viewers. Ethiopia has rejected these sanctions outrightly. Ethiopia is in fact considering closing down offices of US aid, just like Eritrea did in 2005. US aid is not working in Eritrea. Eritrea banned US aid. Ethiopia might make a similar decision in the coming days. And not only is Ethiopia considering banning US aid, Ethiopia has rejected the possibility of any talks with TPLF as well. In the statement about US sanctions, Ethiopian government said that TPLF was a terrorist organization. There was no possibility of talks with a TPLF or a TDF. So sanctions will definitely have an impact on Ethiopian economy. But in terms of making Ethiopia change its policies about Tigray, these sanctions might not work. That is why some analysts say that the sanctions could be counterproductive. Thank you for watching.